all's well that ends well, I guess. But I'm still not sure how I ended up in Yuki's house, or borrowing some of his clothes. It's like being in a dream.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to Paws On Animation and our podcast.
Today we're covering the 2001 anime Fruits Basket.
Yes, and this anime is based on the manga of the same name, which we already reviewed some time ago. And it's much like FMA, it ended up getting a reboot many years later. But first, we're going to cover the original 2001 anime, which didn't even finish the story.
And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification for some future podcasts and other Paws videos.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Thank you for subscribing, sharing our videos. We really appreciate you. And thank you for sharing our joy.
Yes.
So this genre, the genres that are covered are romantic comedy, or rom-com, slice of life, supernatural. As you mentioned, it's based on the manga written by Natsuki Takaya. And the manga ran from July of 1998 to November of 2006 with 25 volumes.
Wow, okay, it did run a while. And you read the entire series.
Yeah, so did you. And we absolutely loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And the anime, the first one we're speaking of, originally ran from July to December of 2001. And it has 26 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you not familiar with Fruits Basket, it was based on the manga, which dealt with members of the Soma family being possessed by the animals of the Chinese zodiac legend and cursed to turn into the animal forms if they embrace anyone of the opposite sex, or if their bodies are under great stress.
Which should be under a lot every day. So, the back of the DVD case has a little bit of a shorter descriptions. An orphan Toru is discovered living in a tent on the Soma clan's land. Yes, that actually happened. They offer her a place to stay in exchange for housekeeping. But soon Toru learns they have a bizarre secret. When hugged, they turn to the animals of the zodiac. And then from that point on, you see little adventures, and then you actually start being introduced to each member of the zodiac throughout the series. However, I do have to mention there are two of them that they never get to because the story stops at a certain point and they never get to, I think, about two members they never show.
Now, I want to mention that this was a gift from Rascal for the holidays.
Yes.
And I absolutely love it. It took me a while to finally go, okay, we got to watch this. It's 4 DVDs, I'm sorry. And there's a lot of special features. And they even interview the English dub cast. You don't see them.
Right.
You
it's just
hear
audio.
them. And what's really interesting is that the theme songs were rewritten and redubbed with the English voice actresses Meredith McCoy performing the opening theme, Laura Bailey, who also voices Toru, performing the first ending theme, and Daphne Gear performing the second ending theme.
Oh, pretty cool. And for this one, we actually had a little mixed up at one point. We watched the new one first instead of the original. So, we need to see the original first before this one in case there's something we didn't see. Because the newer one adapts the entire story like Brotherhood. This one adapts it all the way up to a certain point with very little that's anime original. It still follows the story pretty faithfully. I think, if I remember correctly, the series stops at the point where you see Kyo's true form.
Yes.
And that becomes like a climactic finale in here. And to me, it's a little anticlimactic because everything else happens in the manga never gets told. They kind of just end it where she convinces the one that's in charge of the clan, Akita, to let her see them and don't punish them anymore, and really rushed the understanding, and that was it. It was just like, alright, you can see him again, and that was the end of the series. It felt like, oh, it just stops, and there's so much more they can cover, but they chose to stop there, which must be why they redid it.
And there's lots of other secrets that come out in the manga that aren't even touched on in this anime itself.
Right.
And the only one, as you mentioned, is his true form being a problem versus everyone else's.
Right.
So he has this little cute form, but then he has this monstrous form as well.
Right.
And so Toru, convinces him that she still cares for him regardless. And happy ending. But it's really weird if you've read the manga that this is the ending and you feel disappointed. Now that being said, the entire anime itself up to that point is fantastic.
Yes.
It keeps the same vibe as the manga. It's fun. There's so much fun in here.
Yes, that's true.
Unlike the manga, which really has some really dark elements to it, they don't touch on those in this particular anime.
Yeah.
So it's more fun than anything else.
Right.
You learn about Toru's mom and her background up to a certain point. They don't go into the darkness of that either.
Right.
They don't get into the darkness of Kyo's background.
No.
A lot of the darkness was left out of here. And so what I'm guessing is when you see the reboot and you see the full story, those dark elements come out.
Right.
And we think that's very true because we actually watched the first episode of the newest one. And you can tell there's like a darker tone, it's more serious.
Yes.
And here, really oddly, even though the anime is fun and full of humor and a lot of that's left out, the opening itself is very sad. And so is the ending. And we were shocked that they chose to do that.
Right. We thought they were going to match the tone of what the anime was like because there's very little times where it's something sad or more serious. So, and there's really not much going on in the intro itself either. You don't even get to see the characters, you just see their backs. It's slow, you hear the music, ends with Toru's mom's picture for like almost a whole minute, and then that's it, the show starts. And it doesn't quite match the vibe that the show has because half the time you're laughing really hard at how the characters are, what they say to each other, them beating each other up, or they turn to the animals the worst opportune time and you're just in hysterics. It's like, you sure it's the right anime intro.
Now they leave in here it ambiguous whether Toru ends up with Kyo or...
Well, they call him the stupid brat. That's what they call him.
And Yuki.
Okay.
And you're not sure who she ends up with. Unlike in the book, you find out. And I remember you saying a lot of people thought they kind of copped out where it really looked like she was going to end up with Yuki. And in here, that impression is given when you meet Yuki's brother and they go to his shop. And you see more of him acting with her in a romantic way rather than a friendly way, even though the whole time, like in Yashahime, he calls her Miss Toru.
Right. Yes. But yes, you're right. It is more prominent here than in the manga, and perhaps that's maybe what the writers wanted to do, but they decided to just leave it open-ended because of how this anime ended. And as you meet each of the zodiac, you find out which animal they are. Sometimes it's funny and sometimes it doesn't make sense, but when it comes to Kyo and I'm sorry, the name again? I just need to know. Yuki, thank you. When it comes to Kyo and Yuki, they're pretty much like the main two you see in the anime with her. Whereas the love triangle are just trying to get along. And they fight so much that they tear up the house and everything, beating each other up. And they constantly have to change it. And I said at one point, this is like anime Tom and Jerry. And then they actually said it in the show itself that they fight so much. They're like that cartoon cat and mouse. And it's like, and then I think that's what people expect Tom and Jerry to be, not the cutesy chibi thing they got. They thought they would just be hardcore fighting each other like this. This was closer.
And it's so funny because in their animal forms, Yuki and Kyo are so cute and they're small, and she can pick them both up and carry them.
Right.
And then you've got others like the one who's the ox who you think who you really liked when he showed up.
Right, because they kept making a lot of
With the black and white.
right, yeah, a lot of puns with the hair and everything. He turns, he's got white hair on the top, black hair at the bottom, and when he transforms, he turns into a cow, as Mama would say. He turns to a cow, and
I thought it was the ox, but it's a cow.
yeah, and the student council gets mad at him saying, you can't have crazy wild hair like that. Died immediately. He said, you can't do that. That's his natural hair color. I know that's a lie because he's got black hair on the bottom. Well, that's also his natural hair color. And, well, we can't tell him he's a cow. And then when they actually show him when he turned to a cow is when she's unconscious and when she wakes up, he's a giant steer standing over her, and they just play the sound effect all the time. And he usually has a black face and a white face, meaning he goes from being chill to being angry.
His name is Hatsuharu.
Yeah. And they call him Black Hatsu when he gets angry and crazy, and White Hatsu when he's calm and chill. And I realized what they were making the joke of. He has the flipping sides because of how a cow acts when they're in the field and when they're stressed. And he's mad cow.
He is an ox.
And then he keeps playing the cow sound. He's an ox when he looks like a cow. And when every time he transforms, they play the sound effect. And it's like, oh, so he's a mad cow then.
And he fights with
Kyo
as much as you can.
Right. Oh my gosh, yes, that's my favorite, because it's just like, how many times are they going to make fun of him being a cow oxen?
And so, you see him that one time and that's it.
That's it.
The manga, but that's it. And then we meet also
Oh, don't we also meet Yuki's brother? You mentioned that, right? I think he appears.
Right. Snake.
I think he appears 2 episodes?
Yes.
And that's it. His was short too. And
you meet Kana Soma.
Yeah.
His left eye is injured because of Aikido. And that's as close as you get to the darkness in here.
Right.
You don't learn anything really about it.
Right.
And then you actually meet, as you said, all but 2. You meet, and then you also have Kagura, who you weren't sure if she was going to end up with Kyo or not, because she chases him down and she beats the crap out of him.
Oh my god.
And tortures him.
Right.
And no matter what he says and does is wrong. She's just loony out of her mind.
He doesn't want to be around her. Yeah.
And Shigure just keeps letting her come over. And
because he enjoys the show.
He's the one who owns the home, and they're all living in it. Not Kagura. She comes to visit, but Kyo, Toru, Yuki, and he are living in it.
Right. And I think he said he's a writer, but he doesn't write. He's a writer, doesn't write.
He runs off screen.
Right.
He
it's like
tortures the publisher.
Yeah, it's like, when are you gonna finish this book? It's been so amount of time. It's been weeks. It's been months. Like, how are you not fired?
And then he pulls out the finished manuscript. He thinks it's hilarious to torture, I guess, his manager when she comes in.
Yeah. Oh, I'm done. Here you go.
She's like, why didn't you tell me in the beginning? And he thinks it's fun.
Right.
So he's got this perv side where he wants to see the girls
all the time.
He's got this menacing side where he wants to torture her,
right?
Put her through crap, and he knows he's doing it.
Yes.
And he pretends he's forgetful and all of this, and he just likes having fun doing that.
Right.
And you have Momoji, who's adorable.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
Momoji
is the rabbit,
yes.
right? And he was like the honey senpai of the show, because they were like really too similar, and it always started crap with Kyo. Then it'd be like Shippo when you watch it, it's like, oh, someone, he says something stupid or he says something insulting about him, and then he hits him on the head. And starts, and then the boy starts crying. It's like, well, stop saying crap about him. Because Kyo is like this version of Inuyasha now.
Yes, exactly. Because you said, why does he sound like Inuyasha? I guess because Inuyasha was popular.
Maybe.
Came out in 2001. Inuyasha came out in 99 or 2000.
Yeah,
so
probably.
You know how during that time we saw a lot of other anime copy or be inspired by other characters like Bash,
right?
And Inuyasha. So yeah, they did it here too, and they did touch on Momoji's backstory.
Yeah, they actually
very, very, very sad, and we were surprised they dedicated about half an episode to it.
Right, that's true,
but
and
he's so adorable.
Right, and yeah, you're right. A lot of the dark stuff doesn't really come in until near the end, and the last episode has it completely. An entire episode was dark when you see Kyo's true form. They did not make any jokes or anything the entire time. They got a little happier when it got to the last 2 minutes, but it stayed serious on those last 2 episodes. And I think for a lot of people at that time, it felt like a whiplash, because you guys had a sense there was something else going on, but it just went all in on the darkness, and it felt a little unbalanced because they didn't finish everything and they cut some things out, so they didn't have to have something never explained or cliffhanger or something not resolved because they were never going to cover it. They only had so many.
True.
But they got like maybe half the manga done by the
Definitely.
time this was done. And I think the new series ends up covering everything plus a movie.
So we have to mention Yuki was the prince of the school with his fan club.
Oh gosh, here we
Didn't
go.
want any of the girls around him until they hated Toru. And you also had the Soma, who's the doctor, and his name escapes me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And he has a tragic backstory as well.
Yes.
And you also have to mention Toru's two friends, who one of them was actually mentored by Toru's mom.
Yes.
Right before she passed, and they're really loyal, true friends to her. And you just love their dynamic between the three of them. They take care of her. They love her. She loves them.
Right.
And she actually gets permission from Shigure to allow them to visit.
Yes.
And they end up liking them as well.
Yes, it's really fun to see because they have so many great moments all throughout the anime.
So if you've seen Fruits Basket 2001, let us know in the comments. Did you see it when it originally aired? Or later like we did on the DVD? Or on Crunchyroll, let us know what you think. If you haven't seen it, it's available on Crunchyroll to stream. But I'm so happy that I own it. Thank you, Rascal, because I can go back and watch it as much as I want and see all the fantastic special features. So if you decide to purchase it, it is worth it. It's a great deal because there's so much extra stuff to watch.
Right.
And the only disappointment in the special features is, again, not being able to see the English dub actors. You just hear them, and they tell you about why they think it's a great anime, what their experience was on it, a little background on the manga itself, and how the anime came to be, and the inspiration for the anime.
Right.
So it's worth watching.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and reviews, favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. And feel free to share this podcast and give it a little like if you've enjoyed it, because it helps us out a lot. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
And the Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.